Hello everyone and welcome to another What's Happening Horse Games. My name is Rattle and yeah, this is going to be a sort of bulk video that's going to be covering all of the news that happened this year with horse games, or as much as I can possibly cover. If I do miss anything, please let me know in the comments below and I will try to remember to add that into the What's Happening Horse Games for next year, the first one that does come out. But before I do get into the video, I would just like to briefly thank my Ko-Fi supporters for, as always, just being freaking awesome. I want to thank all of my viewers, my subscribers, and just anyone who has ever supported me, or people who have just like not agreed with me. Thank you for keeping dialogue open, for just chatting with me, for just being an awesome audience. I have to admit, I have a very cool audience and you guys are just amazing. And finally to Lil Cat Silly for making the awesome artwork you guys can see as my background today. This is Catch Up. I created him in the live stream I did with Barbie Horse Adventures. I'm going to try and live stream again this year. We'll see how it goes. Don't count on anything. I'm desperately hoping it'll work out. I'm so tired of my live streams dying. It's like a freaking running joke at this point for this channel. Anyway, but let us get into the video proper. Starting with our favorite horse game, of course, Star Stable. Where's my folder? So Star Stable opened up the year with a very interesting update, which was the cheating ban, which resulted in a lot of players getting banned for using cheats and hacks and all those wonderful things in Star Stable Online. This resulted in a huge pushback of players claiming that they were getting banned unfairly, players claiming that they never did anything wrong, but Star Stable stuck to their guns and just banned a huge chunk of players. Now, I'm not sure exactly what the state is of cheaters in the game. It does feel that it has gone down quite a bit, at least from my perspective, from my servers. I'd love to hear you guys though. Do you feel like the cheating has gotten better in Star Stable? Sort of just to kind of, for those of you who might not know, like cheating in this game includes like using speed hacks or using hacks to get exclusive horses or stuff like that. So it kind of, you know, not only hurts the players, but it further also hurts the company where players do not purchase you know, horse coats and stuff. Now, you can sort of be against the idea of all these horse coats coming out, but that's sort of you know, the reason why the cheating ban was implemented. But what do you guys think? Is the cheating better, worse? I'm curious to hear. The next thing that happened, well, not the next thing, but another thing that happened in Star Stable this year is that they sort of sunsetted most of their Generation 1 and Generation 2 horses. The last one, I believe, that is still in the game is the Jorvik pony, which will be leaving us in January or February of next year. That is kind of sad. It is sort of it feels like a part of the game's legacy is sort of just being dropped. It's painful to see in a way, because these were horses that we all got very excited about. These were you know, stuff that at one point we were very hyped to get, and they're essentially being discarded. I do understand why. It has to do with the engine, I believe, but it's kind of sad to see this chapter of Star Stable sort of closing. But for those of you who still maybe want one of these Gen 2 horses, which is the Jorvik pony, you can go and grab one in still in the game, I believe up until January or February. Go and grab that if you still want to. So the next thing that happened was a bit of a controversy, all in for HM All In returned to the game, which was very frustrating for a lot of players because HM All In was actually a horse that was supposed to be an exclusive horse last year. It would return this year with HM Indiana. So it's nice to see them like bringing exclusive horses back. I believe this has to do with something we will discuss a little later, which is an investigation they're under. So I understand the frustration from players, but I'm also glad that other players did get the chance to get this horse, but we will get into this a little bit later. Next thing that happened is they updated on the horse restoration. Now this year and last year, they sort of started to push that if you asked to restore horses that you previously sold, you got them back, essentially. This was never the case. Usually with Star Stable, if you asked for horse restoration, they said no. So it was very interesting to see them sort of, restore a bunch of horses. This got around very quickly. and a lot of players started to ask for their horses back. Now, what is interesting is that Star Stable is going to remove the sell a horse feature. You're not going to be able to sell horses anymore, and with that they said no more horse restoration will be happening. So the last horse restoration was on December 5th. I got all my horses back, yay! And yeah, so this is an interesting thing. They're sort of moving away from being able to sell horses, which is good because you could only really sell horses for in-game currency, whereas the horses actually cost real currency, like, you know, star coins and stuff. So this is an interesting change they made, but yeah, we'll see how this sort of plays out next year. Something very small that happened was that they had their celebration for their birthday party this year, but it was a very small celebration, where usually it's like a big bang thing. I do think the reason for that is because the birthday party always sort of landed right next to Halloween, and I'm wondering if it was a very high stress situation for them where they had to sort of, you know, they have the Western event, then they have the birthday event, and then they have the Halloween event, and then they have the Christmas event. So I'm wondering if it was a situation of, you know, just cut one of these events a little bit down so that they can sort of focus on stuff. It could be that. But yeah, it was just interesting to see this sort of small scale for the birthday event this year, which had been a consistent thing for Star Stable for a good few years now. But yeah, we'll see what they do next year. Next year is their 15th birthday. Maybe they're maybe saving it up for next year, and maybe we'll see something cool then. And you know, it's actually quite interesting. Like, Star Stable is 15 years old, or 14 years old. Next year 15. It's kind of amazing that the game is still there. Like, it's really cool to see that Star Stable is still holding on after all these years. Now, something that I did find interesting with this year is that in February of this year, they added dragon horses. Now, why this was pretty interesting is, number one, the horses can breathe fire, which is not something, like, horses have never been able to do sort of anything cool. And the other thing is that these are two magical horses, which is essentially a horse with two coats. You can switch between this magical coat and then the ordinary coat. And what's interesting is that they're still in the game. They are a consistent element in the game. And I think, again, that this has something to do with the investigation, which I will be chatting about. But it is cool to sort of see this sort of element coming in, that you can purchase magical horses anywhere. They're not exclusive anymore. They don't have a timestamp on them. I'm curious to see if this is going to be happening with all of the magical horses, but we'll have to see what happens next year with the investigation. Now, they did release a bunch of new horses, of course. I'm just going to grab my notes so that I can tell you exactly which they are. Hang on. They released the Jorvik Mountain Horse, Andalusian Black Forest, Krilu, Hanoverian, and of course, the one that everyone was, I think, the most excited about were the mules. Just sort of a brief thing. It wasn't as many horses as I thought it was going to be, but it is still quite heavy when you consider all the magical horses in between. It's still a lot of horses, but it does feel like they're scaling it back a little bit. It feels like that, but I'm curious to hear what you guys think. The main story got an update for the Eldritch Awakenings. I'm not going to be saying much about it, as I don't want to drop in spoilers, but this is just to say that they are at least still keeping up with the main story, which is great, because there was one point where there was like a 4-year gap between main story quests, and they're clearly a lot more consistent with it, which is great. Thank you for that, Star Stable. We appreciate it. Now, the next thing that I really want to talk about very briefly is that this is the first time in memory that I can remember that they have started to combine star coin combos with horses. So usually you get the star coin combos, which is one on the right here, where you get all the clothing, and then you get like a star coin bundle, and then you get that essentially. You've never gotten horses with star coin bundles, and it's interesting to see that. And I think, again, this has to do with the investigation, which I'm going to be chatting about now. So Star Stable Online is under investigation. The investigation, I have sort of covered all of this. I will be dropping the videos down below for those of you who do want to learn more. But essentially, this investigation is about how Star Stable sort of manipulates kids into buying, and they are sort of crunching down on these practices, the double star coin weekends, not being transparent in how much things cost. What I did find interesting about this one, I don't have a screenshot of it, but there was one sort of thing, and this creator does chat about it, that sort of captured a mule that you could purchase, and it was interesting to sort of see that, because it meant that they had to put a specific dollar amount on the mule to say, this is how much the mule costs, real money, not star coins, not sort of arbitrary idea of how much the mule costs, but, you know, how much the mule costs. Now, the other thing that we chatted about earlier is this All In for Indiana, where they sort of bring back an exclusive horse. Now, I did mention this with the dragon horses as well. I think that what we're going to be seeing with Star Stable Online in particular is that less and less horses are going to be exclusive. They're not going to have this timestamp time crunch anymore, because it is that sort of Black Friday rush that they put on it, where you have the fear of missing out. And with kids, this is a very dangerous thing to put on them. I do cover all of this in my videos. I will be linking the playlist down below. But that's generally what has been happening with Star Stable. I do think that in some ways they did do some nice stuff for the players. It's sad to see the Jorvik shilling going down, the old generation horses going down, and it's great to see them sort of crunching down on the cheaters. But yeah, that is Star Stable. Let's move on to the next one on the list, and that's gonna be, roll the fucking drum, Rival Stars. Now, Rival Stars is a horse game that is both on desktop and on mobile. I'm going to be focusing on the desktop updates simply because that is the one that I play the most, and I, of course, we will just be mentioning the fact that they did release, let's actually start with that, they released a VR edition for Rival Stars, but let's get into a little bit more of what they have added. Of course, they have added a lot of horse breeds, which includes the Mustang, the Appaloosa, the Knapstrapper, the Akalteki, the Akaltek, I don't know how to pronounce it, but there's a lot of horse breeds that they added, which I think is the highest number of horse breeds that Rival Stars has just dumped on us in a year. And it does feel like they're sort of moving in the direction that Star Stable started to move, where they the Anglo-Arab, that was the other one, but they sort of started to move in this direction of, if the desktop gets a horse, then mobile, it's usually something you have to work towards or purchase with real money. So it's interesting that they're focusing on that. I don't like it, to be honest, but let's see what else they added here. They created a Discord, which I have joined, very cool community. They also added a new area for players to ride around in, which is the Canyon Cliffs, very nice area. They also started to add traits. Now, traits was something that was very much exclusive to the mobile version for a very long time, but it became something that is now part of desktop. We have the Majestic Mane, which was the first one that they added, and they're adding more as we go on. There is some controversy around the traits, but that is something that I will leave mostly for... It affects the mobile gamers a lot more than it does the desktop gamers. It's something to do with the fact that traits can give like boosts and stuff, and if you have a Majestic Mane as a trait, it sort of renders it useless because it's purely a cosmetic thing. It does nothing for the horse to actually function better on the track. So that's sort of the problem with that. They also added the Golden Dunes, and they changed the way that we sort of, or not changed the way, but they added some features for images, which is nice for role players in particular. The coolest thing for me this year, though, was the fact that they added, like, stories, which is awesome. They added, like, steeple chasing, and they added some more story mode for cross-country, which I love because I am a story-type person, so I enjoy the fact that they're adding more, cognitive sort of engagement, not mindless engagement. Sorry to say it like that, but that's sort of the way I feel. This is the Anglo-Arab that they also added, which was also pretty cool. And then, which was really cool, is they added an event. And this was the first one that they've ever added for desktop. All the events have always been solely on the mobile, so it's really cool to see them starting to sort of introduce these types of things to the desktop as well. I hope they do another one next year. I quite like the event. I can't remember if I finished it, but I like the sort of... It gives a bit more of an atmosphere to the game, and that's sort of what you're looking for, right? But it's really cool. Now, I think the biggest update for this year was twofold. We'll get to that one in a bit. Is firstly the show jumping, which was added for desktop. So you have like competitions and stuff you can take part in. Now, the show jumping was in the game, but it was solely like a map that you could just ride in. Now you have a career mode, which is pretty... cool. You have like 4 levels of competition that you can work your way through. I love it. I'm so glad that they added this. They added a lot of stuff that I'm really enjoying this year. The desktop really got like bulked up. Now the final thing that they added, which I think a lot of people was the most excited for, is the roam together or the multiplayer function, where players can finally like come together and play around in the areas, which is great because the areas are empty, vast nothingness, and just having something to do with friends, that's pretty nice. You know, you can at least do something. I'm hoping that they're going to maybe buff this up a little bit, maybe add some courses that you can time yourselves on, you know, have something that's a little bit more to do than just sit around and chat with each other. I personally find multiplayer stuff very boring, but I do understand that a lot of people were very excited for it, so that's really cool to see. I'm really glad that they're sort of expanding, and that's one thing that I do really appreciate about Rival Stars is I always feel like they're pushing the envelope a little bit and exploring and expanding. They don't just land on one thing and stick to it, they're always trying to do something new and interesting, and I really do respect that. Like, I have my issues with Rival Stars, but I think the updates for this year was absolutely spectacular. Well done, I'm looking forward to 2026. Alright, moving on to the next game. Okay, so for the next one, we're going to be chatting about Star Equestrian, and they opened their year with, on the 1st of February for Star Equestrian, they opened it with a gem sale, and I think that they've sort of picked that up, which is a double gem weekend, which I think they really picked up from Star Stable, and that's one of the reasons why Star Stable is getting investigated. I hope Star Equestrian knows this. Maybe they don't, but they could get in some trouble. But yeah, that's sort of what they opened. They did add the fantasy. So we're going to be chatting about Star Equestrian. Star Equestrian is a free-to-play mobile game, also available on desktop. But of course there are a lot of... It's essentially a pay-to-win game. But they opened up this year with, of course, a double gems weekend, which I just thought was really funny, because that's the reason why Star Stable is getting investigated, is for the double star coin weekends and stuff like that. So it's going to be interesting to see if Star Equestrian has to sort of abide by those new laws over time, but we'll have to wait and see. Now, they did add the fantasy breeding in Star Equestrian. So basically, this is something that you can sort of get magical flourishes, and they try to sort of make it that the horses can sort of mix and match between a bunch of stuff right now. So you can get some really interesting, crazy type of combinations in this game. Like, I have to admit, the breeding in Star Equestrian is really, really cool, because you really don't know what the hell you're gonna get, especially when you start adding potions, which is something else that they added this year. Let me see if I'll get to that in a bit. Hang on, I'm sort of jumping ahead. Where are the potions? Why can't I see the potions? This is not where I want to be. Okay, I'm just gonna reverse. So they also so they added the potions, which allows you to give a little bit of control, not by much. It's a very high chance game still, which really annoys me, but I am working on the video, hopefully. And then they announced that the Esser Frisians are truly one of a kind. They can be bred with both fantasy and regular horses, but here's where things get more magical. When bred with a fantasy horse, they produce a rainbow Esser Frisian. These special foals can inherit flourishes from their fantasy parent, and here's the best part, those flourishes can be passed down to regular foals too. So I wish I'd known that before I wasted like flourish stuff on other horses, but anyway. But yeah, so like heavy focus on breeding, as we can see, like breed the legendary Flutterwing. It's heavy focused on breeding. Even the wild horses, let me just actually pop over to that. Here is the wild horse update, which was not actually to get like wild horses. You can go out and like tame it, but you can't catch it. It's solely there to breed. Like I said, heavy focus on the frickin' breeding this year. Same with this one, you have to pay a shit ton of money in order to get this. But this one was interesting because this was the first horse that quite changed color, which we hadn't seen before. And this is sort of reflected in the main horse that we're trying to sort of find, which is Snowdrop, which is interesting to me. Snowdrop is not a horse that you can actually get in the game right now. It is still sort of hidden. Here we can see sort of the color changes of the horses, and this is the first horse that sort of had that color change. They did also add a weather update, which is pretty cool. Sometimes it'll start raining now in the game. I quite like that. It does create a visual problem sometimes for me, where it like gets so misty I can't see jack shit. But it's not as bad, and it does add more atmosphere. I wish Star Stable would do this. I wish Rival Stars would do this. Weather systems always brings a little bit of atmosphere and life to a world. Now, this was interesting to me. They started an affiliate program this year. the 16th of May, and I'm just going to read this out. They say, ready to turn your love for Star Equestrian and content creation into something seriously exciting. We're inviting passionate content creators and influencers to join our brand new affiliate program for Star Equestrian. What's involved? Create fun and engaging Star Equestrian content. Promote your unique affiliate link. Earn commissions on every sale made in the online web shop through your link. It's open to anyone 13 plus or the applicable age in your country or region, and there are a few minimum requirements. If you're eligible, go for it. Got for it. Oh, that's a spelling error. Got for it. We're very excited to offer this opportunity for our creative players. Now, I made a video with a creator some time ago where we sort of talked about the ambassador program for Star Stable. And I'm very curious about this affiliate program because there's already an issue with Star Stable where players aren't being very open about the fact that they are making ads for Star Stable. And I'm worried. I haven't really been seeing people saying that they have, they are affiliated with Star Equestrian. So I'm curious to see how this is going to go out. I really don't like using kids to promote your game like this. It's so scummy. Foxy, I'm losing a lot of respect for you guys, but I just don't like this. Like, I don't know, I'm gonna do a bit more research into it, but on principle, it doesn't feel right for me, okay? But yeah, let's move on. So, oh yes, this was actually a very nice thing that they did for players, which is the monthly rewards, which is really cool. You also get a weekly reward, and every month you get a new horse that you can unlock. If you log in every day, you eventually get one of these horses. It's really cool, it's quite nice. They actually have 2 running for December. These are the types of things that make it nice to play the game, when they really do offer more. The updates, I feel, was a very heavy focus on breeding this year. The wild horses was a complete flop. It got launched, and then it got very quickly removed again because it broke the bloody game, which was very interesting. There was also a bit of drama with a art piece that was lifted from another DeviantArt account, but I am holding back on that because I am hopefully going to have more information for that. So you guys will be seeing a video about that more than likely next year, where I dive a little bit more into this. But yes, there was some drama with Star Equestrian. I will be chatting about that soon. But yeah, overall, like I said, a lot of breeding stuff. It's sort of player friendly, not exactly, but yeah, I'm curious to see what Star Equestrian has for us for 2026. Next one I want to briefly talk about is The Legend of Khiimori. Now, Legend of Khiimori is a game being developed by Esser Entertainment. Their focus is sort of, having a Mongolian experience where you are a courier rider and you're riding around. The demo for the game was released in October of this year, and it was an interesting game. I had some issues with it. A lot of other people also had some issues with it. I don't think it's a bad game necessarily, but I do think it's very clunky at this point in time. But great news is that they decided to listen to feedback, and they are sort of pulling the game back a little bit. It was supposed to be released in November of this year, like the early access release. But they decided to push it out into March of this year for 3 of March, and I think that is very, very cool. It's great that they're listening to people, that they're sort of putting in the time to understand, players weren't very happy with what they had, and it's very frustrating. It's very cool that they're doing that, sorry. But if we look at the sort of just some of the roadmap stuff, like the performance and optimization, that's great. I had a lot of problems with my performance and optimization, which I don't want my game to look that ugly. Like, I'm not even that visually focused, but one day I will explain what the issue is with just ugly graphics and old graphics. There's a huge difference between it. It looks like they're also working on guidance and controls. And here they say, we want the controls to be easy to pick up without adding unnecessary friction, but also offer the kind of depth and variety that horse game fans love, like extending and collecting your gates. We're trying to span the width of preferences people have for controls by giving you a lot of options to customize your game experience. Okay, so I do have an issue with this. Okay. I don't see the point in having extensions and collections in a game like Khiimori. Because if you look at endurance riders, they have I'm going to call it a lope, but it's not a lope. I understand a lope and a canter are basically the same thing. But there is a sort of... There's a word we have in Afrikaans for it. I can't say it, but there's a very specific word we have for it. And it basically means it's a very relaxed, low canter. Low energy canter. And you see that with a lot of endurance riders. The less energy they're using, the better. Whereas when you're looking at a show jumping horse, you often see higher action. Where you're looking at a dressage horse, you see, you know, more controlled action, or you see specific types of actions. I don't need to have collection in a game like Khiimori, because what am I doing it for? It's interesting. I'm sort of maybe jumping the gun, so it could still surprise me, but let's see how it goes and what they do with it. Now, what I did find interesting, some sad news though for Legend of Khiimori, and for those of you who were in the community, is that Esser or Troy, I said Esser Troy, but that's like they're like Esser Roger, Esser this, and Troy has left the team. I had a chance to kind of chat with him from time to time. Really cool dude. Real sad to see him go. He was sort of a bit of a face for the game in Discord. Don't know what that will mean for the development. Players were very, very sad to see him go, just because he was so, you know, like part of the community. So yeah, I do understand. Like some of the developers felt very, you know, annoyed that people were so sad that Esser left, that Troy left. But yeah, it's kind of difficult because he was so part of the Discord community, and he's like gone from Esser. He's gone, and yeah, that was just a really sad announcement. But yeah, let's move on to the next game. We got a lot to cover still. Okay, coming up next we have Equinox, and Equinox is very nice to sort of list all of their updates, as we can see here in a nice big format. So I'm literally just gonna go through this real quick. Most of their updates have been updates to quality of life features, so allowing players, for example, to run and pick herbs and stuff from the ground instead of just jumping off the horse and then, you know, doing it like that, which is a huge help. They also allowed for a character reset, which was a huge thing, as you know, we were all sort of stuck at the end of it. We couldn't see the new cinematic, so they added a character reset, allowing players to recreate their characters, to, you know, just kind of revisit the experience a little bit. They did add a shit ton of new quests. Now, this sort of is interesting because a lot of those quests have been running back and forth essentially, but they would add a fast travel feature which would help a lot to alleviate that. Now, they also added new races. I believe they added about 11 or 12 new races, if I remember correctly, which is great. Like, that's more content. I did find the races to be very barren, in the sense that it's very boring for me. I'm struggling to sort of vibe with Equinox, I'm going to be honest. It's not something that I'm finding extremely gratifying to play at this point. I'm going to try it again in the new year. Maybe it surprises me with all these updates, because the new quests actually goes along with chapter 3 and 4, which was also released, and on top of that they also added apologies, they added 20 new quests. So it's probably about 70, 60 new quests. But again, like, it's a lot of back and forth, just picking stuff up, dropping it off. It's very fetch questy. Oh god, where was I? I was talking. Yes, I was talking. Oh yes, chapter 3 and 4. They also added like a lot of chapters. Oh, not a lot of chapters, a lot of story content specifically, which expanded the world and of course the story itself. Now, they also started to add the cinematics. When the game was released around the 10th of May, the game didn't have a lot of cinematics. Like, a lot of it was just basically cue cards, which really frustrated players because they wanted to be immersed in the game. Now, the other issue that a lot of people do have, myself included, is the fact that this is a multiplayer game when it is clearly so catered towards a single player experience, and that sort of buckles both elements. I think that they are sort of being torn into two parts, and I can sort of understand that because they really do want to sort of focus on the single player experience or give this really cool story. At the same time, they have to keep in mind, you know, the multiplayer experience, and those two are sort of creating a bit of a dissonance between them. Now, one thing that I also will say is that they added free jumping, as we can see here. Now, free jumping is basically you can just sort of jump over obstacles in your way. The original implementation of this was quite poor, and it ended up that players just didn't like it. I didn't like it at all. I believe they have changed it, and it is a lot better now, which is absolutely great. Now, overall, I think that they have added a lot since May. Like, it's about 60, 70, you know, quests that they've added. They've added a bunch of new races. They've added a lot of visual improvements, a lot of new tack, new gear. They've really pushed the gauntlet here. They're really, like, trying to add enough content to make the game good. My issue with the game is not the amount of content that is being added. My issue with the game is that the game just isn't fun for me to play. It's very clunky. It doesn't feel very fun to play at this point in time. But maybe it surprises me in the new year. I am quite curious to see if it does. Now, moving on to their latest updates. They added an option to change your experience, so there is some new hairstyles and stuff. There's also going to be some main styles that they're going to be adding, or I believe they have added. The great thing is that all Chapter 1 cinematics have now been added. They are going pretty slow with the chapter cinematics, but I will say that at this point in time, the thing that they really should be focusing on is more content, more gameplay, and they do seem to be focusing on that. This was something that I covered where they sort of spoke about the darker narrative. I am sort of on the fence about how I feel about the darker narrative. I don't mind a darker story, but I do feel that this is a very forced concept. It's not something that they really want to tell a good story. Something, for example, is they had a pub crawl, which I felt was so bizarre in a horse game. I couldn't understand why they would add a pub crawl to a horse game. And then I realized, oh no, it's just to say, look, we have alcohol, we are a big game, and like a big person game, we are an adult game, look at us making alcohol crawling stuff. And I was like, this is so stupid. Like, it's so 18-year-old trying to be cool. It's kind of that thing. It's kind of maybe 16-year-old trying to be cool. It's like that sort of, okay, yeah, you know, you're okay, like, calm down, you're fine, just make your thing. And then they added the crown chase. Now, the crown chase is, and I quote, capture the crown and keep it away from other players in our multiplayer event. Join via your phone at designated times to hop into a server-wide game with others across 2 locations, the Lighthouse Isle and the Equestrian Riding Center. So the idea is you're sort of running around, as you can see here, and one person has the crown, and they're all sort of trying to steal the crown from you. It's nice. It's something to do, kind of. You know, there's very little content really for multiplayer at this point, so it's great. Like, again, this game is so viciously single player, it's almost sad. And then the last sort of content that they added for the year was a radio where you can kind of listen to music, and then they have some winter decorations and a winter cheer bundle that you can sort of just grab. I didn't believe it costs all that much. So it's like they have really been updating and doing a lot, but like, my problem with this game is not the fact that they're adding content or not adding content or adding content, whatever. My problem is that it doesn't feel like a game that has a great base. It is a game that feels like it has a very bad base, and they're just dropping stuff on top of that to make it feel like it has stuff going on. And that's why I just don't feel this game. It isn't intuitive for me to play. It isn't something that I want to play. I am going to revisit it in 2026 because I really want to try and stay up to date with all of these horse games. But you know, it's like I have to sort of admit that this isn't a game that I am finding intriguing to play. It feels very dull. But 2026 is a brand new year, and they did add a lot. I'm going to reinstall it, and maybe this game surprises me. I will say they did add a lot of content. Okay, moving on to the next game. We're going to be chatting Equestrian the game. Now, Equestrian the game, they sort of announced last year that they are sort of going to be pulling back from the game, and we are definitely starting to see it. The biggest update that they made for the game in this year really was stable layout. As we can see here, players can now customize their stable layout by choosing which horse goes in which stable box. New account security feature. They have a lot of patches. you know, it's, but yeah, like this is September. Like, just this is all that has been updated, and they do have the Oldenburger Devoro at least. Like, it's, oh, and they did, I'm sorry, I forgot, they did add the American paint. So they've been doing some stuff, but mostly it's just been really old events just for the sort of cycling in the background, just adding some new tech. Apparently, this game, this developer, what is their name? Cavalry. They are sort of moving, you know, creating a newer game. So it's very frustrating to see this, because this is a game that like was in development for 8 to 7 years at least, and they dumped it. It was a boring, bland mess. And instead of trying to make it better, they sort of just screwed it over, because it's a mess of ads now. It's like, people are unhappy with the game. Now, I don't have a problem with ads, but this game was so poorly monetized because they didn't plan this game correctly. And unfortunately, players who put investment and time into the game, they're the ones that's gonna suffer. It's not Cavalry. They're just gonna drop it and move on to the next thing. It's kind of like you buy a horse and you sort of ride it around, and then you're like, I'm tired of this horse, and then you just dump it at the nearest shelter. Like, you're not the one who's suffering. The horse is the one that's suffering. In this case, the players are the one that are going to be suffering. So it's very frustrating to see this. Yeah, this is a dead loss of a game. I don't know if I'm ever going to cover it again. It's very, very sad to see. But yeah, sorry to everyone who put so much time and money and like just mental love into this game. I'm very sorry, because you are being burned. No one else is being burned. You're being burned. Okay, moving on to the next game on the list, which is going to be Astride. Now, Astride is a game that is being developed by about 5 or 6 people. It is a very small game, but you know, they do have very high expectations for it. This game has seen a lot of ups and downs. But they did make 2 really big updates. Now, I will say with Astride, they are very, very, very good at showing us the behind the scenes of how this game is being developed. So this is sort of all of that they've added. They added the Arabian horse, the Rabiakanu gene. They added a third-person and third-person view while riding or grounded. They added horse refusals. They added more leg variations. They added lead changes, more show jumping courses, a new dressage course, and a dressage training course. They added lead change for slower canter, and then they added idle and halt animation with transition from different gates. They added a rein back, silver buckskin, and silver smoky black gene combination. They added a hard stop animation for the horse, activated by pressing X, and they added a walk to canter transition. But this was a update that was very sort of creating the game into something a little bit more immersive, I feel. I'm just going to mute that so you can sort of look at that in the background. I have said this before, and I still stand by this. I think that Astride is one of the highest quality games that is being made, just for like the amount of time that is being put into it. This looks great. I'm sorry, like, this looks amazing, and I really wish that they just had 5 extra people to help them. It's just because I can see that there is a lot of potential, and I know that a lot of the reason why it's going so slow, why they are, you know, sort of taking very small steps, is because they just simply do not have enough people to work on it. But let's go on to the next update that they also had. As we can see here, I'm just going to scroll through this. You can see the amount of like updates and showcasing and how they're doing things, and they go into a lot of depth into this thing, and it's really cool to see. So this is the newest update that they made, which was launched on the 27th of October, and yeah, I did not like this first opening scene. It's so weird. It's such a bizarre scene. But anyway, so as you can see, they added some faults. But let's go through the added content and features. A breeding board and a stable management board have been added to the stable. A breeding feature using realistic genetics has been implemented in its first stages. Foal models for the offspring that turns into the horse model after 1 in-game year. Foal grows gradually over time. The Percheron horse breed has been added. added, tutorials have been added cross-country courses, stable assigning and horse placement feature was added to this main stable, day and night system with sun, moon moving as time progresses. Players can now lead horses, players can now open and close gates, owning multiple horses is now possible. Selling, deleting horses has been added, option to get stallions has been added. It is now possible to buy horses. So this is the state that I believe Astride should have been in when it was originally released in 2023. It has been 2 years for them to get to this point. I understand why. I believe that they are working in something called DOTS, which, from what I can see when I read the development logs, the dev logs, is I feel like DOTS is sort of hurting them a lot. It's not hurting, but it's sort of slowing them down a lot. I'm not entirely sure why. I want to do a little bit more research into that and sort of learn more about why DOTS is possibly, this is just from my own opinion, why it's possibly slowing them down, and what is sort of happening in the background. But yeah, it's interesting that I feel like this is sort of where the game should have been when it was released in early access. I'm glad to see it's finally there. I'm glad to see there's still movement on the game. I'm glad to see that there's clearly some inspired to work on it. I'm hoping they get more financing. I hope that it all goes well for them, because I really think this game can work. It's there, it just needs more support. It's very frustrating to see. But yeah, that is Astride. If you want to check it out, all the games that you want to check out will be linked below. Hopefully I'll remember this time. I tend to forget to do that. But yeah, I'm happy to see that Astride is sort of where it should have been and it's moving forward. And let's hope 2026 is an inspiring year for them. Alright, so moving on to the next game. And the next one is Unbridled. Now, much like Astride, Unbridled does update a lot. They show a lot of the behind the scenes. They keep their players updated on what's going on. And as you can see, they're they are definitely moving forward, like showcasing some pretty mains, some pretty eyes, some performance optimization, like the Arab, how that's sort of affecting attack. You can see new assets like movement. They're clearly doing a lot. This game was released on the 17th of February into early access. It is being developed by about 2 or 3 people, I believe, and it's moving forward absolutely. Now, a lot of their updates have been sort of role-play updates. Now, what do I mean by that? It's basically the idea that this game is feeling like, for me, a game where it is a lot of role play. So they're adding animations for mucking, animations for petting, animations for leading. This is actually quite pretty. And it's sort of the suspicion I'm getting that this game does feel like a lot of dressage, a lot of role play oriented thing. They do have a lot planned for version 3. They have version 0.3, apologies. They have a riding system overhaul. They have new horse animations. It's a lot that's going on. Like, they have reversing, turning, terrain adaptation, all of these things that are sort of going on behind the scenes. Overall, I think that their updates have been very light at this point. I don't think it's a bad thing. I think that they are clearly pushing forward, and this looks great. They're clearly developing. It's slow, just like with Astride, but here we can see sort of that thing that I mentioned, right? This feels very roleplay. So roleplay is a huge thing in the horse gaming community, where players will pretend or tell stories with their characters, and they'll do huge roleplays with this, right? Like cinematic type stuff. You should really, if you haven't checked it out, please go and check it out. It's really awesome to see. And it's sort of this thing where I feel like that's going to be the focus of the game, which is fine. I think that's great. It's good that they're sort of trying to fill in that niche. I do think that, I would like to see version 3 releasing next year, just because I think that version 3 seems to have the biggest, sort of heaviest update that they're planning. With, like I said, it's like dialogue. We have reworked our dialogue system. They have, this week, a lot more time was invested in observing the AI behavior of the horses. Riding lessons, which is going to be a tutorial. It's going to be a camp. They have a campground map. They have animations and textures being updated, as we can see here. There's a lot of new things they are planning and moving towards, and that's great. I would like to see this update happening. Overall, though, I think Unbridled, just like with Astride, the updates, Unbridled feels more roleplay focused than Astride. Astride feels a little bit more gameplay focused. But I will say, I didn't enjoy Unbridled. I found it to be a very boring game. Now, one man's boring is another man's cozy. Oh, there we go. There's a public road map. Let me go check it. I didn't even actually see that. I'm a fucking idiot. Let me go check a look at that. I didn't actually see the roadmap. Wow, we're all just experiencing me being an idiot. This is a work in progress. It's show jumping competition, riding lessons tutorial, fixing multiplayer, jumping latency, a new map, horse ability system overhaul, new riding controls. That's something else that I notice with Unbridled a lot. Is a lot of stuff is being overhauled. This has been going on since 2020, I feel, where they overhaul a lot of the ideas. And this is something, once again, I think that should be happening behind the scenes. This isn't something that we should be seeing. Because this is normal for games, being overhauled and changed and redone and changed and then redone and redone and then rechanged and then rechanged. It's normal for them. But we're seeing this in real time. And I think that's where a lot of frustration with game development is coming from. But I think that this looks like a decent roadmap. You know, it's sort of like there's clearly movement here. Well, if you can go by the roadmap, looks like there is some movement here. And yeah, I'm looking forward to see 2026 for them. I think that they have some real good ideas. They say it's going to be releasing in February. I'll keep my eye out for that. But yeah, let's move on to the next game. And this is going to be Equitania. I'm a huge fan of this game. I really like it. Overall, just the concept of it, the idea of it. It's being developed by one person. Currently, like the game, it doesn't have like a dedicated sort of, showcasing all the updates and stuff. But the developer does show through like these trailers, for example, how the game is moving forward. And I just like it. It just doesn't look like a horse game that I've seen before. And I'm just so hoping it's going to be a good game. Now, a couple of things that did happen this year. The developer, this game was announced sometime in this year. I believe it was August. Like, I'm sort of going on off memory right now. But it was sort of announced sometime in this year. And then it moved into, being developed. And then the developer released the horse painter, where he sort of showcased, like, how in-depth the horse painter is. Like, how you can paint your horse. Like, it is very in-depth. Like, there is a trailer for that. If you want to check that out, it's really cool. And then he sort of started to talk about, like, the visual art, and sort of giving us updates on, like, this is, for example, one of the bigger ones that he showed, which was 2 months ago, where he sort of went into, the different abilities, how the gameplay is going to work, and it's really interesting. I like it. I like this concept. And then he did the playtest this month. So the playtest is currently live at this point. I'm not entirely sure if I can share it here. I'll just check with him if I can sort of share the Discord or whatever. I don't want to flood him at this point. I'm not entirely sure how that works, but I'll just make sure with that. But it's a very cool concept. I'm very excited for this. Updates, of course, are slow, but I do feel that there is a steady progression with this game. It isn't something that is being shared and then sort of dies after 6 months. It has been a consistent sort of showcase, and it looks so cool. I can't get enough of this. I'm hoping it's good. Please be good. I just so badly want this game. But I will also as well leave a link down below. Not a lot of updates for this one, but not a whole string of updates for this one, but the developer is consistently keeping us posted, which is awesome. Okay, just to let you guys know, the next couple of games that I am going to be talking about are games that have been announced but not been released. So I'm not going to necessarily be talking about the updates per se. I'm rather going to be talking about the work in progress that they are doing. So let's just dive right into it. And we're going to start with Equire. Let me just go and find Equire. I've acquired it. Equire is a game that is being developed by one person, and the focus of the game is heavily about creating and constructing your ranch, as you can see here in the video. I do like the fact that this game is sort of focused on something different, because it kind of, brings horse games or exposes horse games to a wider audience of gamers. So this one in particular does have horses, you can see, and you do have the show jumping thing, and you can see the bar there. Is sort of the space to jump bar that you do often see in horse games. Star Equestrian has it, well, a version of it. What was the game I played the other day that also had it? No, Wasn't the Barbie game? Which one was it? Oh, Rival Stars. Good God, it was my brain for half a second. But yeah, Rival Stars also has it. And this is fine. Like, I really don't mind the space to jump thing. I think it's great, especially when the game is focused on something else. We're going to be talking about another game that is more focused on riding. But for now, like, this game is clearly far more focused on creating a game where the creation of your ranch is the focus and the management and the running of that ranch is the focus. No, it doesn't feel like, as at this point in time, the focus is so heavily on the horses. So this is the dev update 6, and they had, I believe it was 4. They had made 4 updates. The developer made 4 updates. So here's an example for like how in depth the building for this game is, right? If you are building a new box in your stable, you can open this menu to change the material of your box walls. Maybe the lower part should be made of a nice bright wood, while the metal bars are green. You can switch between different combinations with the thumbnails, changing to preview all possible combinations. After you pick a material combination and build your box wall, you now want to place a gate into the wall of your box. However, you don't like how the big door limits your horse's view, so you open the menu again and select a smaller door with a bend bar structure, enabling you to greet your horse before entering. This is sort of just a taste of like how in depth the construction in part of this game is. Like, here is an example of variants, primary materials, secondary materials. It's really going into depth with just how many customization options you have, right? Moving on to the dev update 7. It is I had a new teaser for Equire, which we just watched. I quite liked it. And then it says, horses now have coats. The key to coat colors is genetic. So there is clearly some time being put into the horse side of things. But I do, like I said, like there is a very, very in-depth focus as well on the customization. There are already 2 more unique genes in the game. The grey gene causes your horse to lighten and eventually turn white with age, with the dun gene adds primitive markings to the coat. Then it is lighting updates, and of course lots of furniture, wardrobe, shelves, tables, saddle holders. Now I want to be clear, sorry, as we do move forward, just keep in mind that these games are still very much in development. A lot of this can change, so just keep that in mind. These are not early access games. These are games that have not even been released to the public yet, so just keep that in mind, okay? Dev update 8, it goes into a little bit of the competition, which shows there's going to be a beginner, intermediate, advanced, professional, and elite. Before competing, you'll be able to view your competitors and walk the parkour to get a feel for what to expect. There will be a second round to determine the winner based on time and faults, if there are riders who finish with no faults. So that's really the jump off element, which I think is great and is nice to see in games. And then we have more building system flexibility and more customizations. And here the developer says, my goal is to give players as much creative freedom as possible in building and designing their ranches. And it's very clear in the focus of the development how much time is being put into ensuring that you do have that freedom. So dev update 9 is again timing minigame update. The sweet spot has shifted toward the end of the bar. You can still play it safe and hit early for a solid but average jump, or risk pushing for the sweet spot with a higher chance of overshooting into the red zone. I think that's a great change. It's going to give a little bit of an issue, and I'm quite curious to see how that's going to play out, because the Rival Stars game does have the bar right at the center, so it's going to be interesting to see how it's going to play out with, on the at the further edge of it. Like, just from a outsider, like from a haven't played it yet perspective, I do think it sounds more intriguing to me, but we'll see how it does play out. And then it now has a speed influences the game, and it's very simply like, if you have vertical, the horse needs to slow down. If you have an oxer or a wider jump, the horse needs to speed up. I think that's great. It's as he says, it's that risk reward sort of payoff. That's really cool. And then he does go into a little bit, wrong way, into some character customization. As we can see here, we do have a menu now where you can customize your character. And then he talks about something that I really do find interesting. There are going to be guests. So here he says, for example, I set up randomized guest models using the same system as the player character, so each visitor now feels unique. So now he also says expanded guest activities. There are now more activities to slot into guest schedules, and I rebalance them so different preferences can be satisfied without making scheduling too easy. So here we do see you have like teaching. You have teaching English, teaching Western, trail riding. That looks like training or Oh no, that's like relay. It looks like relay racing type thing, that. And then we have hiking, perhaps? Ranger type stuff. And then we have grooming. So there's clearly some activities that the guests are going to be doing, and that's really awesome. I'm looking forward to it. It reminds me so much of my horse riding stables? Yes? My Horse Riding Stables. Oh god, I hope I'm getting that right. It was a game really old where you also like had this top-down or isometric type game where you're riding around and you have like guests and you can like give them lessons, or you can like run competitions on your lot, and it was so cool. And then they made the second one and they stripped most of that, and I still like the guests, but I wanted to have more to do with the guests. So it's really cool that this developer is focusing on that. But that is it for Equire. I think that it looks great. The developer did say that the updates have very much slowed due to some personal stuff. I wish him all the best for 2026. I hope he had a great Christmas and he's going to have a wonderful new year, I hope. But yeah, that is it for Equire. Let's move on to the next game. Fernhoof Grove. Now, Fernhoof Grove is also a game being developed by one person. As you can see, it has a heavily cozy style game. This game is a game where you sort of have a... Oh, my brain just sort of went for a little bit. It just fucked off for like half a second. An academy! Good God, you're joining an academy and you are going to be riding horses in the academy. This looks really cool, as you can see here. First person riding. It looks awesome. I'm very excited for this game. This is sort of, looks to be scratching the itch, or at least fill the hole a little bit, where Tales of Rein Ravine dropped us so badly. I will be talking about Tales of Rein Ravine a little bit later. But yeah, I like the visual style, and I just overall just like the concept of the game. Academy riding, very much more interesting just having a ranch. Not to diss Equire, but it is nice to see like slightly different ideas, you know, being approached in horse games, right? So here is just another video. The animations have never been wonderful. It's always been a little jank. I'm not sure how much polish still needs to go into them. It's always a difficult thing with horse animations because the horses are very difficult to animate. But yeah, it's kind of stiff, as you can see. The trot looks pretty. That doesn't look as great. It looks like an old man. That looks better though. That looks like an old man. That looks like an old man who is running for his life. That looks like an old man running for his life. That's an old man again. Okay, I'm gonna stop. I'm sorry. Why am I being so rude to this developer? I give you the right developer to flame me in the comments. I give you 100%. I will pin your comment. Jesse, I know you are the developer for this game. I give you permission to flame me in the comments for everything that I just said. Okay, so moving on. So let's get into the update. So this starts in March, 7th of March this year, and the first one that sort of happened this year was she implemented the new Academy's building first iteration, and then the first batch of horse idle animations, which is pretty cool, and then translations. She's sort of practicing setting up translations to Finnish. I believe she is from Finland. And then she has controller-friendly menus. So this game is going to have controller connection, controller gameplay. I don't know what the word is now, but it is going to have that. So which is great. And then there's some technical stuff here. It's just little things like a photo mode, a saving system, sound effect manager. You know, it's like little things that are being updated, right? Then on the 30th of May. It's going to be, she says, welcome to official Fernhoof Academy stables. So this was a huge but a sort of redone of the stable itself. Because the game is like, you know, it's an academy, so it had to look a little bit more fancy than cozy, and that was sort of the main change that happened. Then she did a coat improvement, saying basically that if the hoof is white, as we can see here, or the leg marking is white on the hoof, then the horse will have a lighter hoof wall, and then if the white is over the horse's eye, it'll have that eye would be blue. And those are nice ideas, and also the Rona, the Tapiano pattern. Now I like that. I hopefully, like, there isn't going to be breeding. I'm tired of breeding in horse games. I just want more solid horse games. Like, it's fine. Like, I don't mind breeding, but just ease up on a little bit, okay? Just a little bit. Okay, moving on. So now we have on the 14th of August, she is adding the stable chores. Now, I did have an issue with the stable chores when it was announced, because I did play Unbridled. I didn't like the stable chores. I found it to be so annoying. So it kind of depends on how that's going to be approached, and if it's going to be something that is just going to be mindless. But if she's going for that cozy type of style, that could work. But as Abigail once said to me, cozy does not equal boring. So it's that sort of thing. Make it engaging, make it interesting. That's the most difficult part of games, right? To make it interesting. Okay. One other thing is that the in-game currency is going to be called furlongs, as in Fir Grove furlongs, which sounds like furlongs, which I'm probably guessing is the point. I just found that cute. And then, of course, more controller support is being added, and then just some rounding up stuff there. Now we do move on to a quick peek at the new first-person riding, which was updated on the 8th of September, jumping a course on a very forward and eager horse. It is still very much in progress, but it just shows an example of how it is. We did kind of look at that earlier, so it does look pretty good. And then October we have various decorating tasks around the academy that she is sort of tackling, and which she is kind of getting ready for playtesting. And then she has, it's all visual stuff, surrounding the natural hill she's added. The playtest won't have trails yet, but I've still made sure that switching between maps already works both while riding and on foot. And there will be forest trails in the future, which is great. Like, keeping it simple, keeping it focused, and the flaxen main option for all the chestnut coats, and the mini modifier for bays as well. I love flaxen, so I'm happy about that. Alright, and then the final update for the year, which is sort of that short and extended trot stuff we saw earlier. Then the temperament, which is interesting. It's sort of that echoing of Ride, the game like years ago, where you have like a horse that if it goes up to a jump, it'll speed up if it's a hot horse, and it'll slow down if it's a scared horse or a cold type horse. So that's very simple. I love it. These types of things are great. It keeps the riding dynamic and interesting. Lead changes have been added. Stamina is also like gobbled up by jumping, so that sort of becomes a sort of, if you can't slowly, then the stamina will restore. So that's sort of that basic thing. Then you have first-person riding, new animations, and yeah, she is very happy so far. She says the end of the playtest to-do list is finally in sight. I will give you guys an update on the timeline as soon as I can. Be sure it will be accurate. Thank you for waiting. So there's a lot of stuff that has been going on behind the scenes. I'm curious to see the playtest. Looking forward to it, because it's hopefully it'll at least just scratch the itch that Rein Ravine made and didn't scratch. Like, I'm so frustrated with Rein Ravine, but we'll talk about that in a bit. But great job, Jesse. I'm looking forward to your next updates for 2026. And yes, flame me in the comments. You have every right. So moving on, we're going to go into Canter Crossing. Canter Crossing is a little game being developed by Pixel Horizon Games. It is a 2D game. I'm just going to show you some of the animations. This is very much the work in progress for the animations. And it's like it looks pretty. It's so pretty. It's such a cute, pretty game. It's a very slow development, but right now they decided to, in 2025, they decided to switch over gears to working on Canter Crossing Origins. Now, Origins is a prequel and scaled back version of what we hope to achieve with Canter Crossing. It will be a shorter, cozy game to help us create a foundation for CC, or Canter Crossing, with a focus on rescuing wild horses, gathering resources, and of course exploring. I didn't love that. Why didn't I love that? Exploring Origin Isle. A new cast of characters will be introduced, and so on. So it's like these are new characters, and that's sort of what they have been working on. I will say that the last big update that they had was on the 29th of September, and she said that they made 480 frames for the body animation and the hair animation. It's a long thing, and she still has to do the rider. So this isn't a simple thing. This is a lot of work that goes into this sort of style and visual medium. I'm very excited for it because I love hand-drawn animations, and I am absolutely in love with the style for this game. But yeah, I'm curious to see how this game turns out. I'm hoping to see more updates for Canter Crossing in 2026, but I do understand, like, this is a small studio. They have released another game, which is Cosmic Strike, so the developer does at least know how to make a game, and then the artist does know how to make, visual for the game. So it's fine. Like, they clearly have at least the experience to make this game, but I am curious to see a little bit more of it. I did say they should perhaps start a social media, but now I'm sort of thinking maybe that isn't a great idea with AI stealing everything now. So yeah, it's sort of up to them if they want to do that. But anyway, let's move on to... But anyway, that's Canter Crossing. Check it out if you want to support them, or if you just want to check out sort of the art and, you know, just follow the development for this game. I love the art. It's really pretty. Alright, so moving on to the next game. Okay, next game we're going to be chatting about is Horses of Hoofprint Bay. Another 2D animated game. It looks absolutely beautiful. It is a just sort of, you know, a take care of your horses, cozy style game. It looks really cute. And yeah, it's something that was announced this year. It is currently, you can request to playtest it. I have requested it, but I'll see if I do get in. But yeah, it hasn't really, you know, updated anything big at this point. I just want to say, like, you know, it was announced. They are sort of, you know, it's still in early development. I'm not sure if it is. It doesn't look like it's going to be released into early access, which is good. Love the animation, love the look of it. It's it reminds me of, like, you know, those old 2D click point and click games. Not the 90s, like 2000s. It's right around there. Before people started using it's reminding me of a very specific style, and I cannot put my finger on it. I have played a game that looks like this. Not to say they copied it or plagiarized. No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm not just like, it just reminds me of something I know about, and I can't remember the game. But I love the vibe of this game. It has also some like teaching stuff. It does feel very kiddie, which is fine. Like, there's nothing wrong with making a game for kids. And, you know, kids also deserve horse games. We can't just corner the market for horse games now. Next game we're going to be chatting about is Barbie Horse Trails. It was released on the 10th of October 2025 this year. It is a very kiddie game. If the previous one is kind of kiddie, this one is absolutely kiddie. Like, it is so bad. I'm sorry, but it just wasn't a great experience. The biggest drama around this game, though, was me trying to fucking run a live stream. Like, if you guys were there for that, I am so sorry. But yeah, it's visually fine. It's just such a bad game, and I don't want to say that. It's really frustrating. Like, I don't want to say it's a bad game, but it is. It's just not a good game. It is very boring. It's very mindless. There's so much dialogue. I just went insane. I went insane listening to the dialogue in this game. I'm sorry, but it's so bad. And nothing, like, if it's voice actors, I'm very sorry. Like, I'm not saying that you guys are bad. I'm just saying the dialogue itself, like the words they told you guys to say, was bad. But yeah, if you're looking to buy something for your niece and you maybe want to piss her off. But let's talk about a good horse game that was released this year on the 23rd of May 2025, which was The Ranch of Rivershine. It's a really cute game, which, if you really do want to buy someone a horse game, get them Ranch of Rivershine. Unless they're more into Red Dead Redemption. But, you know, it's not for everyone, in the sense that it is a very grindy, very, very cozy core game. Right? It's very cozy. In the sense that it borders on boring sometimes. But the thing is that there is a lot to do here. I think it's the grind that sort of gets me a little bit. It's visually very beautiful. The horse coats are stunning, as you can see. The gameplay is fun. The story is cute. You're going to have a good time with this game if you like horses and you want to have a ranch and you want to train foals and you want to just have fun in a little horse game that doesn't like have any wild pressure or difficulty. I say difficulty, like, so some of the courses are pretty difficult. That's not what I'm saying. Like, it doesn't have any tension, like that sort of thing. You know, it's very calm, very chill. You're gonna have a great time with it. Ranch of Rivershine, if you haven't picked it up yet, please do. Yes, I am working on a review. No, it's not done. Leave me alone. So much to do. Go and grab the game if you haven't already, and if you're in the mood for a cute little cozy game. Next horse game I'm going to be chatting about is another 2D game that was also released this year, which on the 6th of March 2025, and that is Horse Runner DX, which is literally a runner game with horses. That's it. And this game is fun. If you're in the mood for a little time waster and just have like just play a little cute game with ponies and you're just running and trying not to die, this is a fun little game. I had a blast with it. I did have some issues with it, mostly with the fact that I got nauseous and I felt like the visual wasn't as diverse as I wanted it to be. So for example, the forest range looked exactly like the mountain range. I could barely see any difference between the areas. And kudos to the developer, he actually took on the criticism, and here we can see, like, we can clearly see differences. I can see some differences here. It's very cute. I think that it's great that he's listening, that he's trying to sort of, make it, accessible to people, because he also sort of tweaked the game to like make it less motion sicknessy. So motion sickness adjustments, so you can very quickly set that up. And he has some accessibility improvements. Like, he is really listening and he is really trying to make this game as enjoyable to everyone as he possibly can. I think that is awesome. Thank you so much for doing that. I really enjoyed the game. So the fact that he did go through all that effort, I'm absolutely going to try this game again in the new year, because I really enjoyed it and I want to see if I can break my high score. Like, that's it. I just want to see if I can break my high score. But it's a cute game if you haven't picked it up yet. When you're in the mood for something cute, it's like you can grab it at a steal. Like, why aren't you buying this? It's so cute. Go and support the developer. He's awesome. He listens. It's a cute game. You get ponies, you get unicorns. What more do you want? Anyway, that is Horse Runner DX. Let's move on to the next game on the list. Sound of Horses is a game that is being developed by, I believe, 2 or 3 people. I believe the people who are developing it did work on the original Star Stable games, and you see that inspiration everywhere. I feel like a lot of these assets remind me of Star Stable. I can't say if they are from Star Stable, but they do have like heavy Star Stable inspiration, which is great for the nostalgia. I do really want to chat with the developer at some point. Hopefully that he can make time for me and we can sort of talk about, or he or she, we can sort of talk about, what the inspiration was, all the behind the scenes stuff. Hopefully that we can work into that. Now, this game has episodes. This is the first episode that has been released, and then I believe there are 4 more episodes that are going to be released over time. But the part that I found the most interesting, and I'm about to lose my shit. Here at the 5th episode, now listen to this. Explore Volcania, a land of burning lava and frozen peaks, where the final mystery awaits. So that's fine. I love it. I'm very excited for that. And we consider this. This is a very heavy inspired Star Stable game. We can see this inspiration. Like, look at this. This is old Star Stable. It feels so heavily old Star Stable. Look at this jumps. It's like Star Stable. But now the thing is, right, we're going to be seeing Ashland in another game before we see it in Star Stable. And for those of you wondering what Ashland is, this is Ashland. Ashland is a part of Star Stable Online, which was put into the game but never released. So you can go to Ashland, but there's nothing there. There's nothing. Ashland is dead. Like, there's nothing. They never completed it. And you can see there's volcanoes. It's an ashy sort of dark place. So I just find this so funny. We are going to be exploring Ashland before it's released in Star Stable. I don't understand. I don't understand. Star Stable, this isn't funny anymore. Are you trolling us? Like, is this like a guy who is actually working? Because I'm seeing the AB production thing there, and I'm like, Star Stable Entertainment AB. I know AB is like something they put on the back, but I'm just being a conspiracist. Like, put on your tinfoil hats. But is this guy really working for Star Stable? And Star Stable is just trolling us at this point in time. Are they just trolling us? Anyway, now let's move into the final stories, which are just going to be some drama updates. I'm going to start with Strideway. Strideway is a game that is on Roblox. And this one saw a huge drama that happened because it sort of had a not safe for work content problem. Now, as we can see here, maturity minimal, ages +5, which, you know, is a bit of a problem. This shouldn't be happening. Now, they have a Discord. The problem wasn't in-game. The problem was actually in the Discord itself. Now, the owner of the Discord, Frappy, has sort of removed the people who were problematic. She has set some new rules. She has censored a bunch of words. I'm not going to show the Discord because I don't want to just like show people anymore, but she has sort of censored words, so she is proactively at this point pushing forward. Now, there is a caveat to this, which is something that hopefully I won't be talking about in the new year, because here's the thing. This isn't the first time that there has been pushback against Strideway. This isn't the first time that people have said, hey, you guys need to change, and then they change, and then we end up with the exact same problem. This isn't the first time, and I'm gonna hope it is the last time, because as I say, this is like, Roblox is obviously a game for kids. This is a game for kids, so it's like you're taking on the responsibility of making sure that kids are safe. Now, I understand that Frappy, the owner, is young. If you're going to take on this Discord, you are directly taking on the responsibility. So it's a difficult thing, right? But kudos to her for, you know, listening, for removing the problematic people. Let's hope Strideway can keep course now. Right, so moving on to the next one. This was a bit of a huge drama. The Rift is a Reddit redemption mod, the Rift Trails, which is like, you know, the original Reddit Equestrian sandbox server and Reddit Online. This was the first, like, horse community server for horse gamers in Reddit Redemption 2, right? I believe it was launched in 2020, like during the pandemic. And it's like, it has some nice stuff, but it came under fire. People realized that, you know, the mods were very toxic positive. You couldn't really speak up about issues. It sort of was tiny things, and it sort of grew and grew and grew and grew until like the server basically exploded. Like, that's sort of what happened. The straw that broke the camel's back was with housing, which is kind of nice. Here at the side we have the housing. So basically, people were very angry that their housing, they paid $30 to $35 for a plot of land for their house to build it in the Rift Trail server. And then the developer, or the owner, Chelsea, went ahead and said, hey, I know you guys want to bought this thing, but now we're going to make it a monthly fee. So, as my friend stated, they turned a purchase into a rental, which is insane. You can't do that. So people were rightfully pissed off. And that sort of triggered people contacting me and telling me this isn't the only problem. And they just kept throwing and throwing and throwing and throwing. And when I made the original video, they decided to hit me with a copyright strike, an illegal copyright strike. And then I had to remake the video, and then I make a second video, and then the third video. A lot went down. If you want to learn more about it, you can go and look at that. But right now, the Rift is continuing on. I am getting reports that players have sort of dipped, which would be understandable. Let's hope that they can also stay the course and keep their noses clean. It was a really bizarre year for horse game drama. It was really weird. Okay, coming up next, we have Alicia Online. Now, I don't have a lot of news. Don't get too excited, but the website is up again. Not the game, the website. Don't freak out. Everyone just calm down. I know, I was also excited. I was very disappointed afterwards, so I'm sorry if I excited you for a bit. Now, there are one or two updates that happened this year for Alicia Online. Now, Alicia Online, for those of you who don't know, was a game that came out in 2012, 2013. It got shut down like within a year of, like just outside a year of its runtime. And then beautiful people went ahead and reverse engineered it from Korean to English, and then we were allowed to play it. I had a blast on this game. I love Alicia Online. And the Alicia Online is basically Mario Kart with horses. That's literally what it is, but it was just so much fun. I can't explain it. That game just hit all the right notes. It has such a visually appealing thing. It was just a lot of fun, right? apparently what I'm understanding, they're going to redo the models, they're going to redo it, everything. And I think they're trying to get out from under Unbridled, which is the owners of Alicia Online. I think they're trying to make their own thing, which would be good because then they can start making money. Because as long as it's Alicia Online under Unbridled, they can't make any money. That's sort of the deal, right? They can run the service, they can't make any money on it. So if they make it their own thing, they can make some money off it, which I would be very game for because they've put in so much work. But so on the 24th of March, sort of, Alex, the person who was working on this, says that, there was some real life issues that sort of, caught up with him. And he's really just having a rough time. So he kind of struggled. And then the next update that we had was on the 16th of September. And he says, "Dear players, I just want to tell you that I was very busy lately and wasn't online for a while, and now finally got some free time and will return to working on the game. No specific dates at the moment, and first we'll try to get the website back online." And then on the 29th of September, Alex did provide the website. It's just the website fix for now, and the game is not working yet. But as I get more free time now, I will work on the game server as well. So he is working. I'm hoping he can get Alicia Online. But there is another situation that kind of popped up, but I will cover that in another video, but I'm not going to talk about that right now. So moving on to, that's Alicia Online. I'm happy to see that there is a little bit moved. I'm happy to see that the website is back online. That's awesome to see. I am so happy to see that little face. I'm happy to see these two little horses. Oh, I just so badly want to play this game again. Next story we're just going to briefly cover is Horse Fable. I just want to give you guys a brief update on this. So it was in May. Yay for the May. Horse Fable is a game that is like a horse browser game. So it's mostly just breeding and like taking part in competitions. There's no 3D graphics. It's all like 2D visual. Very popular style of game a few years back. Like, this game has been around for 10 years now, like over 10 years, and it sort of changed names a little bit, but it's still like it's been there for a very long time. On the 6th of June, there was a bit of a mass exodus where a bunch of people who are working on this game said, "We're not going to be working." Oh, it's been 12 years. And they're not going to be working on this game anymore because like the Bedouin the owner is just mismanaging this game. And they were very angry. Nothing ever worked because Bedouin just wasn't doing what she was supposed to be doing. On the 7th of June, Bedouin would make a post sort of saying that, this, not necessarily miscommunication, but she does apologize for the fact that, for her lack of communication over the last couple of months. And that, they've carried this project forward with dedication, creativity, and heart. And, it's frustrating and disappointing, and I recognize how frustrating and disappointing my absence must have felt. Now, the issue with this was that this hadn't been going on for a few months. Puppies! This hadn't been going on for a few months. This had been going on... I am desperately trying to finish this video. It's not happening! So I stood up for a bit just to kind of, go... and do I help out the puppies because they, whatever, like, and I come back to my model looking like this, and I don't know, it's just so fabulous. I don't know, it just looks amazing. Okay, back to the video. This had been going on for years, so players were very frustrated with this apology because it didn't feel genuine. But on the 9th of September 2025, Bedouin would make a very interesting post, basically saying that she has sold Horse Fable to Curly. It's a bittersweet goodbye, she says, but she has moved everything into Curly's name and Curly is now the owner. And since then, there's been a lot of bug fixes, a lot of, updates, a lot of stuff has been going on, and I feel like the activity on the posts feel a little bit more active from what I can see here. But however it is, I wish them the best of luck, and yeah, I hope that, Bedouin is happy with the situation. I hope Curly is happy with the situation, and I look forward to see what happens to her with Horse Fable next. And if you can hear puppies in the background, I can't do anything about this. They are there. I have to finish this video. It was supposed to be up yesterday, and it didn't go up because the dogs just made everything so much difficult. Just very briefly, very sad story is that Riding Club Championships, a game which was released like in 2008, 2007, was sunsetted in August of this year. It was very tragic to see it go. This is a game that a lot of us played, that a lot of us found a lot of love for, and it is so sad to see a game like this, go away. And it's unfortunate, the reality of horse gaming and like any development really, that eventually games die. It's sort of that thing. Now, I hope that someone does, revive it and at least give people like the chance to play it again. That would be kind of cool. Sort of depends on what, the developer's art plant, how they feel about stuff like that. So let's hope that they are open to it and that they will allow players to, run their private servers and keep the game going. But yeah, that is sort of for them to decide. This is a game that was absolutely part of my childhood. It's so sad to see it go. Okay, moving on to the next story, which is going to be Tales of Rein Ravine. I don't have any updates, just to kind of get that out of the way. Maya has not contacted me. No one knows where she is. We all hope she's doing okay. Tales of Rein Ravine was a game that was released on the 12th of October 2024, and since then we have had no updates. The game is free. It was ran basically through Patreon. It was funded through Patreon. But since then, it's just been radio silence from the developer. But there is one thing that did happen. A person known as Cloak, a person called Cloak, sort of went into a little bit of detail of what happened, basically with the tier pricing for Patreon. Okay, so this person, Cloak, thank you so much for keeping us posted on what's going on, basically said that in May, the pricing for the pony tier was $3.50. And then $3.50. And then sometime between 23rd of May and 12th of July, the price was bumped up to $4 a month. Now, the thing is that there still hasn't been any communication from Maya, so we're sort of in this really weird situation where it's like the pricing on the Patreon tiers are going up, but for some reason it's like there's no response. And this happened this year, so it's been a year now, over a year, since any updates for Tales of Rein Ravine, and I want to believe that it there's maybe just some life crisis and stuff going on. Like, anything can happen. The price increase is bizarre. My first reaction when I saw this was a sort of, did Patreon make a change to its pricing policy and there was an automatic increase to Patreon tiers if you didn't opt out of it? I don't know. I'm still doing research. At this point in time, I have not found anything that corroborates that. So that is just a theory from me. I don't want to just make the accusation that she upped the Patreon tiers and just fucked off, because why isn't she reacting to anything else? Like, people are saying, zero update, money, but the thing is that this game is free. So what money is she making out of it? It's the frustration of no communication. And even if she comes out and says, I have stopped working on it, that's fine. Like, we're going to be angry. Of course we're going to be angry. It's going to be more disappointment than angry. Just give us something. Even if it is to stop it, just give us some closure. I think at this point, that's all that people want. We just want some sort of closure so that we're not hanging on to hope. We're tired of the hope. I think that's where I am in any case mentally. I am tired of the hope. I just want to have a yes or no straight up from the developer at this point in time. But we'll see. Hopefully we'll get something in 2026. And then we have Shabby's Dressage, which has not been released, and I'm very furious about that, because I want to find out if I will escape the foul cycle of reincarnation by winning a dressage competition, or if I will remain a slave of an eternal god of torture. I so desperately want to play this game. Look at this horse. Look at it. Look at this horse. I want to play this game so bad. Like, this needs to be my birthday game. My birthday is on the 20th of May. Laurie Vonoy, if you can release this on my birthday, I would be so happy. This is such a visually weird, interesting game that has the most bizarre premise I have ever seen for a game ever. Look at this. How do you see this and just not want to play it? Like, I want to play this game so bad. Now, this game was announced. It doesn't say, actually, which is very interesting. Now, Rein Ravine released the game on the 11th of November 2024. So hopefully, we'll get a game. We'll get this thing released sometime this year. I desperately want to play this game. Like, I just find this concept so interesting. But let's hope it's released in 2026 so I can make a video about it and just possibly be annoyed by it. Because apparently I'm annoyed by everything. And that is all of the updates for Horse Games of 2025. Well, I say all of them. I might have missed a bunch because there has been a lot of stuff, like a lot of games coming out. I'm sort of like working through a backlog of updates from other games. So there's like a lot of stuff going on with Horse Games, which is awesome. This is absolutely like a new era for Horse Games, which I believe absolutely started with the pandemic. And out of that, we saw so many new ideas, so many new concepts being born from that time period where people suddenly had time on their hands. But thank you all to my Ko-Fi supporters, to my viewers, to my people who like, to the people who argue, to the people who dislike. All of you, thank you for making 2025 very interesting. And let's go into 2026 with high hopes and a lot of alcohol, because I think we're gonna need it. Bye, guys. Also, just for the fun part, this is like the third time I've recorded this because I forgot to put my mic on. I'm actually very tired. Bye.